When scientists placed dogs inside brain scanners and discovered what their minds were actually doing while watching their owners, the results shocked the entire research community. What they found challenges everything we thought we knew about animal intelligence, and what's happening to dog brains right now in 2025 is something nobody predicted. The evidence emerging from laboratories across the world reveals a transformation so bizarre that it's forcing scientists to completely rethink the evolution of intelligence itself. Here's what they're not telling you about the brain inside your dog's head. Right now, at this very moment, modern dog breeds are experiencing something unprecedented. Their brains are expanding. Not shrinking like every other domesticated animal on the planet, but actually growing larger. When researchers in Hungary and Sweden analyzed brain scans from over 850 dogs representing 159 different breeds, they discovered that the further genetically a dog has evolved from wolves, the bigger their brain becomes. This contradicts decades of established science about domestication. Every domesticated animal we've studied, from chickens to cattle, shows the same pattern: smaller brains compared to their wild ancestors. Dogs are breaking that rule, and nobody knows exactly why.
Thank you for watching and for your time. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, and comment. If you have any questions about the content, please share them in the comments. Scientists measured the brain volumes and compared them to wolf specimens, and the data was clear. A dog with the same body weight as a wolf has a brain about 3/4 the size. That's the domestication effect we've always seen, that 20% reduction in brain size that happens when animals no longer need to hunt or escape predators. The brain is incredibly energy expensive to maintain, so evolution typically downsizes it when the survival pressure drops. But here's where it gets strange. Modern dog breeds, the ones that have been heavily modified through selective breeding in the past 200 years, are reversing this trend. Their brains are getting larger again, and it's happening fast enough that scientists can measure the difference between ancient breeds and contemporary ones. The leading theory sounds almost like science fiction. Researchers believe that the complex social environment dogs now inhabit with humans, the rules they must learn, the urban settings they navigate, and the constant adaptation to human expectations is driving this brain expansion. It's as if living with us is making dogs smarter, and their brains are physically responding to the cognitive demands we place on them. What's even more fascinating is that this brain growth has nothing to do with the dog's job or lifestyle. Herding dogs don't have bigger brains than lap dogs. Guard dogs aren't neurologically different from companion breeds. The expansion is happening across the board, affecting every modern breed regardless of what they were bred to do. But that's not even the most mind-bending discovery about dog brains. When neuroscientists at Emory University trained dogs to lie still inside functional MRI scanners, something remarkable happened. They showed the dogs videos, just 30 minutes of footage showing humans and other dogs doing various activities, and they watched what happened inside the canine brain in real time. Then they did something unprecedented. They used machine learning algorithms to try to reconstruct what the dogs were seeing based purely on their brain activity patterns. And it worked. The artificial intelligence could predict with startling accuracy what was on the screen just by reading the neural patterns. The scientists could literally peek inside a dog's mind and see what it was perceiving. The results revealed something unexpected about how dogs process visual information. When the same experiment was done with humans, the accuracy rate for reconstructing what they were watching hit 99%. The model could predict both objects and actions with near-perfect precision. But with dogs, something different emerged. The algorithm could reconstruct actions, the movements and activities in the videos, with impressive accuracy. However, it struggled more with identifying specific objects. What does this tell us? Dog brains are wired to prioritize movement and action over static objects. This makes perfect evolutionary sense. For an animal that evolved from predators and had to constantly monitor their environment for threats or prey, detecting motion would be far more critical than identifying stationary things. Your dog's brain is essentially an action detection machine, constantly scanning for movement and change. There's more happening inside that canine skull than most people realize.
When researchers attached electrodes to dogs' heads and played different sounds, they discovered that dog brains process human voices fundamentally differently from dog sounds. Within the first 250 to 650 milliseconds of hearing a sound, dogs experience measurable changes in brainwaves. This time frame is associated with motivation and decision-making in humans, suggesting that dogs are rapidly analyzing who or what is making the sound and determining how to respond. The electrical patterns in their brains fire in opposite directions depending on whether they're hearing humans or other dogs. More electrically positive for human sounds, more negative for canine vocalizations. Their brains are literally distinguishing between species in real time and preparing different response strategies. And here's something that will change how you see your relationship with your dog. Scientists presented dogs with 5 different scents while monitoring their brain activity. The scents included their owner, a stranger, another dog from their household, an unfamiliar dog, and their own scent. Researchers expected the strongest brain response to come from other dog scents, but they were wrong. The scent that triggered the greatest activation in the dog's reward system, the part of the brain associated with pleasure and positive feelings, was their owner's scent. Not just any human, but specifically their owner. Your dog's brain literally lights up with reward signals when it smells you. While we humans identify people primarily by sight, dogs may rely heavily on smell to recognize and apparently to bond with us.
The intelligence comparisons get even more interesting. Dogs have approximately 530 million neurons in their cerebral cortex. Cats have only 250 million. Neurons are the information processing units linked to intelligence, the capacity to think, plan, and execute complex behaviors. This means dogs have more than double the cognitive processing power of cats. When researchers conducted language and mathematical tests designed for human toddlers on dogs, they found that canines can learn up to 165 words, matching the vocabulary of a 2-year-old child. Some dogs can even perform basic arithmetic, outperforming 3- and 4-year-old children in mathematical reasoning. The cognitive similarities between dogs and young humans are so striking that scientists argue if we grant consciousness and reasoning to toddlers, we should extend the same recognition to dogs. But there's a twist that nobody saw coming. Researchers investigating which dog breeds are smartest made a counterintuitive discovery. Working breeds like Siberian Huskies, dogs bred for complex tasks requiring intelligence and problem-solving, actually have the smallest brains relative to their body size. Meanwhile, toy breeds like Chihuahuas, Pomeranians, and Yorkshire Terriers have the largest relative brain sizes. Does this mean the tiny dogs are smarter? Not exactly. What scientists discovered is that bigger brains don't necessarily mean better cognitive function in dogs. The toy breeds with larger brain-to-body ratios showed higher levels of fear, aggression, separation anxiety, and attention-seeking behaviors. These dogs were bred primarily as human companions, so traits like seeking affection and attention were desirable, and fear or aggression weren't as disadvantageous as they would be in working breeds that needed to be highly trainable.